Hey, welcome everyone to a bonus segment that we call Jonathan's Leftovers. This is a little extra helping of the Jonathan Project podcast. This is coming to you again. Jonathan's Leftovers. We're going to talk to you about a extra segment here from the main episode this week, which we were talking about being good husbands. The gift of being a great husband goes kind of beyond Mother's Day or any other kind of holiday. And we're going to spend a few minutes here talking about that. If you want to find this episode or any episode, please go to your favorite podcast platform. That could be Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it. You can find us there. Also in the preview, there is a link that allows you to subscribe at Castio. So please go subscribe so you don't miss this episode or the main episodes. And also we have a free devotional. The link is there. If you need prayer, anything else, please reach out to us at thejonathanprojectpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thejonathanprojectpodcast@gmail.com. Jason, here we are for Jonathan's Leftovers on this glorious Wednesday morning. So what
Yep.
are we going to talk to the folks
All right.
about?
So you heard the main episode yesterday, and so today is a little bit more of where the rubber meets the road. And as Colby, you and I were talking, it's, we talked about how we correlate what we can do for our families into this servant leadership. And I thought it was pretty unique that leadership is divided up into traits and behaviors. Now, servant leadership is a behavior-based leadership formula, which falls in line with what God tells Joshua to be strong and have good courage, right? Like we all choose. Jesus chose. And it talks a lot about emotional healing, which are steps you can take. And it talks about putting the followers first, putting them ahead of you, but not putting them ahead of that greater strategic goal, which in this case is coming to have a close relationship with Jesus. Talks about having them grow and succeed, right? And how we always behave ethically. You and I talked about, I've got this great little psychology test here about ethical leaders, servant leadership, and how strong you are in it. And there's a lot of biblical backing. So I'm going to read a couple of them. And if I know you've got some great examples. So it says here, cares more about others' success than their own. With the Bible talks about that, right? And it talks about investing in others. It says encourages others to handle important decisions on their own.
Yeah.
I think as guys, we are like control freaks, and we're like, nope, I got this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. For guys, we can stray very quickly in trying to be authoritative at home versus, understanding that our wives are helpmates and that they might be seeing things in us that we're missing, deficient leadership, right? And that is why certain things are going and happening in a certain way, right?
Yeah. Well, and also quite often, we, I love the video. It's all about the nail, right? The guy has the lady's talking about the pressure in the forehead and this, that, and the other. And he's like, you got this nail in your forehead. And she's like, I don't want to talk about that. And it's, you need to hear what I'm saying. And these guys, we want to fix it. But one of the key components of this servant leadership, and it's asked like multiple different ways in here, is how much room do you give people to grow?
Yeah.
And I'll ask you, Colby, is it okay to let people fail?
I think there is a time and a place, and I think the Bible proves this out, where God will give you a little bit of rope, and really that rope is just faith, right? How are you going to move towards Him with what He's given you, right? He doesn't give you necessarily everything you need, but He does give you choice. And sometimes we choose to deviate off the path and let go of the rope. Think about Peter walking to Him on the water, and he just sinks because he gets focused on the storms versus on the objective.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's with our relationships. It's like, hey, look, I'm trying to head you off from pain.
Yeah.
But as long as it's not going to be absolutely detrimental, I'm going to let this cook. I'm going to let this play
I
out.
think that's it. As a husband, as a father, at what point does it become catastrophic? Right? Like we all learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
We all learn from our, figuring it out.
Yeah.
And that's part of growing.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine who was asking me biblical questions, and he was quoting the Bible in his defense of
Mm.
a concept, right? And I'm like, well, let's just open that up. And you read it to me, I got mine. You read yours, I'll read mine. And let's figure out exactly what it says. I think sometimes just walking through a valley with someone is what's important. As long as we're not walking away from Christ, let's just walk together
Yeah.
and figure it out, right? Like I want you to grow.
Yeah.
Sometimes getting stuck under the squat bar is okay, as
Yeah.
long as
I
it's
mean,
temporary.
yeah, because it forces you to get strong. And I think that, which is kind of what I would say for this leftovers, the extra helping that I would give you, as the audience tonight is just to say is, alone with God equals strength for the home, you know. And you see this model through Jesus. He would go and spend time with his father. That way he could give his best,
Yeah.
right, to the people that were asking of him. And as guys, we're not building in that habit to spend time with the Lord, to seek his counsel, to understand what he's trying to say, where we have our own gaps and we're just trying to tell everyone else in the house what's going on with them. You're all jacked up, you're all wrong, and you're never spending time where the Lord can
Yeah.
mentor and develop you, then that's a problem. Mark 1:35 says Jesus withdrew early to pray. I'm a big fan of getting up early, starting the day. Maybe it's because it's the years of the army. You start at dark 30 every day anyway. Even the Son of God needed solitude with the Father. So wake up early, get into your word, or whatever time you need to have a dedicated time, and let him speak to you as a man, as a husband, as a father. All these titles that you carry, let's see what he has to say. How can I help my wife today and not be, you know, give me the words, Holy Spirit, when I interact with her, that she hears you, not me. you know,
Yeah.
because if she hears me, then the force fields will go up like the old Star Trek, right? And the photon torpedoes, nothing's getting through, right?
Yep.
But if she hears you, it melts the heart. It softens. It
Yeah.
allows what you have for her because she's your daughter just as much as she's my wife. And we have to remember that that's God's daughter, and He
Yeah.
has something for her that He wants her to understand. So
I,
spend that alone time to get that strength at home. You know,
That's an excellent point. And that alone time between you and God as you sit and listen, because he listens to everything you got to say,
yeah,
right? And then how he speaks is very subtly and quietly to the heart. I think that translates into action for guys as
yeah,
well. And it's a tough one.
yeah,
I know you and I have talked about where do we go at different points in our life. And we're like, man, it'd be great if God would just like, hey, man, here is the op order. Go ahead and move on down to paragraph 3 of execution. And the command and signal portion, I'm in charge. And this is how it's going to go, right?
just get after it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just get after it. Focus on paragraph 3. But in reality, I think
no,
sometimes how he answers us and how he sits and listens patiently as we get alone. I think when we're alone, we have to devote that alone time to our spouses. And all those questions it talked about, how much time do you just sit and listen? If you're going to be a servant leader, why don't you just listen? Let them ramble. Let them figure it out.
yeah,
Let's kind of work through this. And it's those simple nudges of guiding out of love, right?
yeah. No, I love it, man. Private devotion, spending time alone fuels your public leadership in the home and outside of the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. All right, that's all I had for the leftovers. If you got a final statement or anything, that's
No, I think that would be it. Spending that time with God, developing your servant leadership. That's where you want to be at, guys, because it's not just about your relationship with your spouse, it's with your children, it's with your friends. It's all those places that God has asked you to be a disciple and an influencer. It starts with him. And
yeah,
and then you are the conduit that his words, not yours, not your opinions, his flows through. And that's what transforms things. If you want something changed, you want a relationship change, you want your attitude change, you want to be better, it starts with him. It starts with Jesus, right? So that's Jonathan's leftovers, folks. That's a little extra helping, a little
yeah.
practicality for your day. If you want to know more about us, what we can do, coming out speaking, please reach out to us at thejonathanprojectpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thejonathanprojectpodcast@gmail.com. If you're looking for a free devotional, please click on the link that will be in the bottom of this episode. Wherever you subscribe, you will find it there. 28 days, 2 minutes a day. It talks about a lot more of these topics: marriage, being a husband, a father. It was a great work put together by this man right here on the screen with me, Jason.
Dual effort.
And you can get that. This episode will be out Wednesday at your favorite podcast platforms. I don't know what that may be, but one of my favorites is Spotify. Yours might be Apple, iHeartRadio, you name it. You can find us there. It will be out Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern, or wherever you're at on the planet with 6 a.m. Eastern happens. Jason, I
Hey, brother,
appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Much.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
See ya.